first things first, now this entire issue about Ramdev agitation, and most particularly the recent police action at the Ram Leela ground as far as his and his supporters' eviction is concerned. Would you like to explain the situation, because that has been widely criticized by certain sections, the way it was being done?
Before we discuss the police action, we must know something about the background to the agitation of Sri Baba Ramdev. He was given permission to hold a yoga shivar, no more, and that with about 4,000 to 5,000 people. In the run-up to the yoga shivar, he made a number of statements that he would go on a fast unto death from the 4th of June. He was clearly told that he had no permission to do that. Meanwhile, government had engaged him in a series of talks. A decision was taken that if he was determined to go on a fast, he would be told that permission had been denied and he should remove himself from Delhi. That decision could have been enforced earlier. But because government was engaged in a dialogue, the enforcement of the decision was deferred. Ultimately, when talks failed or he went back on his word, the police were told to enforce the decision. They enforced the decision. Now, the manner in which they did it, etc., has been explained by the police and will be explained once again to the Supreme Court, which has issued a notice to the Commissioner of Police. So obviously I can't go into the details of what happened on the night of Saturday, Sunday, but the police have explained it and will explain it once again. But let's remember, the decision was that since he had no permission to hold a fast unto death or any other kind of demonstration, he was told to remove himself from Delhi. He defied that decision. This point has to be made. A law-abiding citizen, when told by the police that this is the order, you are being removed from Delhi, should obey the order. He can challenge it in court later, but he should obey the order. On the contrary, what you saw on the television screen was that he defied the order. He ran from his tent to the dais, did a jig, jumped into the crowd, rode on the shoulders of some of his supporters, took the microphone and addressed the people, challenged the police to come and arrest him. All that was quite visible to everyone. And so let's hope that those who criticize the police, and I've noted the criticism, will also take note of the conduct of Sri Baba Ramdev. At the same time, I want to say that I have immense sadness in my heart at the condition of Rajbala. 39 civilians were injured. All but 4 were discharged with outpatient treatment. 2 had fractures, they were set right and they have been discharged. 1 underwent surgery and I'm told he is all right. It's only Rajbala who has suffered serious injuries and she is critical. I'm very sad. We have reached out to the family. I wish to say no more at this stage, but I sincerely hope that I will have an opportunity to meet with the family members.
Post-Saturday, the developments that we have seen, and there are certain media reports about Ramdev making claims that he would conduct more such yoga shivers across the country, and he has also managed to mobilize public opinion, so to say, against government as far as anti-corruption stance is concerned.
See, it's not Sri Baba Ramdev. I think you should know who is behind Sri Baba Ramdev. We go back to March 2011. At a meeting in Puttur in Karnataka, the Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha, which is the apex body of the RSS, decided to organize support for all institutions and individuals that were ranged in the fight against corruption. On April 2nd, the RSS announced the formation of an anti-corruption front, which Sri Baba Ramdev is its patron. It is not Sri Baba Ramdev alone. I think we should know who is behind Sri Baba Ramdev. We go back to March. At Puttur in Karnataka, the Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha, which is the apex body of the RSS, adopted a resolution to support all institutions and individuals that were ranged in the fight against corruption. On April 2nd, the RSS announced the formation of an anti-corruption front with Sri Baba Ramdev as its patron and Sri K.N. Govindacharya as its convener. On May 12, the ABVP, which is the student front organization of the RSS, floated a new organization called Youth Against Corruption and publicly declared that it will coordinate with Sri Baba Ramdev. On May 20, a circular was issued by Sri Suresh Joshi of the RSS, directing every Swayam Sevak to render all possible cooperation to Sri Baba Ramdev. On May 28, Sri Ashok Singhal of the VHP issued a similar circular. And a number of people belonging to the RSS, the ABVP, are fully and closely working with Sri Baba Ramdev. So this is not an agitation by a yoga teacher or a yoga guru. This is a political agitation which is fully backed by the RSS and its front organizations. Therefore, I'm not surprised that they have announced that the agitation will be continued. We will allow peaceful protest, but we will not allow anything that can trigger a conflagration.
It's a certain kind of trend that we have seen, the exercise of Satyagraha and the civil society coming forward and setting deadlines for important legislation, since we're talking about Ramdev and the forces behind him. So setting deadlines for legislations like black money. Do you think that has a wider impact on the constitutional scheme of things? Do you approve that kind of a civil society involvement with the domain which is under parliament? We're talking about legislations here.
I support civil society speaking up, raising its voice, but I do not support elected representatives yielding their obligations and responsibilities to civil society representatives. Let's remember that the foundation of this country is parliamentary democracy. That's what Mahatma Gandhi fought for. That's the independence we won in 1947. And that's what is said in the Constitution that we gave to ourselves in 1950. Elected representatives at all levels. Parliament, legislature, municipalities, panchayats. For a term, renewable in a free and fair election. Government will be voted out of power. Government can be voted back to power. If civil society representatives claim that they have a power equal to or more than elected representatives, that they should have authority over all branches of the state, legislature, executive, judiciary, that's destructive of our parliamentary democracy. And therefore I welcome what other political parties have said in response to a questionnaire and a letter that the finance minister sent them, that we cannot yield our responsibilities to civil society representatives, however eminent they may be. They may give suggestions, we will take the decisions, and we will pass the legislation. That, I think, is the only correct way to function in a parliamentary democracy.
And is that something which is really happening, the kind of support that we see behind Ramdev, Baba Ramdev, the forces and his supporters, and the pan-India movement, they're coming out on streets, and the kind of media projection or the media coverage that we are seeing, looking at these days?
I think sections of the media, for reasons which I cannot spell out, are engaged in competitive populist coverage of these movements. But they must kindly keep in mind that this undermines parliamentary democracy. When someone challenges the finance minister to a debate on television, he misses the fact that debates take place in parliament, and parliamentary debates are televised, and voters watch parliamentary debates and exercise their franchise from time to time. So I think we cannot sacrifice the larger ideals enshrined in our constitution at the altar of short-term, within quotation, 15 minutes of fame under the sun.
Having said that, there are also allegations by the opposition that there is a difference of opinion within the government, in the government, between the government and the party as far as the handling of situation is concerned. Your reactions?
Well, I've heard my friend Shri Arun Jaitley say that. Let me assure him, we do not have an Arun Jaitley, Sushma Swaraj dual act in our party or government. Nor do we have the kind of dualism that was exposed between Mr. Jaswant Singh and Mr. L.K. Advani post-Kandahar. We speak in one voice. We have a division of responsibilities, but we speak in one voice and we act together. Shri Arun Jaitley should have checked either with the finance minister or me before he made that comment.
Now, from Ramdev, let's move on to Lokpal bill now. 30th June is the deadline. How do you really look at that, especially when certain sections of civil society have aired their dissatisfaction publicly on certain issues about PM's position or certain MP's position as far as the entire ambit of Lokpal bill is concerned?
Civil society representatives are welcome to give their suggestions, welcome to persuade us to agree to their point of view, but they cannot impose their point of view upon us. We have a point of view, and we have given reasons for our point of view. Take, for example, the question whether the Prime Minister should be brought under the Lokpal. There are several shades of opinion on that issue. The Constitution Review Commission, chaired by former Chief Justice Venkatachalaya and consisting of very eminent people, are they any less concerned about corruption than the 5 members on the Lokpal Drafting Committee? Are they any less patriotic? They have a point of view, and they have said the Prime Minister, as long as he holds office, should not be brought under the Lokpal. This is what we said in the Drafting Committee. There is a view that the Prime Minister should be brought. There is a view that the Prime Minister should not be brought. There is a third view that the Prime Minister should be brought, but with exceptions. There is a fourth view that the Prime Minister should not be brought as long as he is Prime Minister, but he can be investigated by the Lokpal after he demits office. Now, there may be a fifth view. Should not all these views be considered? Is any view more reasonable and any view less reasonable? Is anyone holding one view the only right person and all others are unreasonable persons? I think all the views must be brought to the table, and ultimately, let me tell you, it's not the Joint Drafting Committee which can pass the legislation. It is Parliament that will pass the legislation, and that's why I welcome the stand taken by a number of political parties that they will not reveal their mind on these issues until the matter is brought to Parliament.
Right, sir. In the recent press conference, HRD Minister Kapil Sibal said that certain chief ministers, in fact state governments, have responded to various issues, and various sections of the Lokpal bill have almost been finalized, and government is tremendously committed to the people of India in terms of bringing it forward and in the next monsoon session of Parliament. So how confident are we about that?
Oh, we are clearly committed to the goal that a bill will be drafted by June 30. Now, I sincerely hope that the other 5 members of the committee will return to the drafting committee's meetings. We have deferred the meeting because Shri Anna Hazare found a date which had been earlier agreed upon inconvenient. So we have deferred it by a few days. But if we work hard and long and sincerely, I think we will have a draft by June 30. After that, the matter goes to Cabinet and then to Parliament, then to a Parliamentary Standing Committee, and then back to Parliament. But we are committed to draft the bill by the 30th of June, and I'm confident we will achieve that goal.
So your final assessment on both the important legislations that we are talking about, Black Money and Lokpal Bill, in the view of recent developments, the politicization on these two legislations, and again the widespread strong public sentiment that is really coming forward. How do you look at it?
See, I certainly respect public opinion, public sentiment, as is portrayed in the media. But I think there is a very large number whose views are not reflected on the media.
Like?
They are out there in the countryside. No one goes to them. No one talks to them. Please remember that for the 6 years that the NDA was in government, they did not speak about black money. They did not take any action on black money. People get wiser after they lose office, and even wiser when they come to the sad conclusion that they may not win office again. Losers are bad, but people who come to the conclusion they will never be winners again are worse, be that as it may. We have taken a number of steps on black money, and these have been outlined by the Finance Minister. Only in the last 2 years, in searches, income tax searches, we have unearthed over 18,000 crore rupees. In income tax surveys, we have unearthed 12,000 crore rupees. In mispricing, we have unearthed nearly 36,000 crore rupees. We have entered into direct double taxation avoidance agreements, the modified ones, with a number of countries. We have entered into tax information exchange agreements with a number of countries. Mauritius, I started the process as Finance Minister. Mauritius has finally agreed to renegotiate the DTAA. We have ratified the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. We have deposited the instrument with the Secretary General. We are bringing a law in the next session of Parliament against bribing foreign public officials. We will introduce legislation to strengthen the Prevention of Corruption Act. We've entrusted cases to the CBI for investigation. The record of this government in dealing with corruption is an open record, and we can compare the actions taken in the last 2 years with any other 2-year period.
So, final word, your message to the people of the country through Doordarshan, especially in the light of developments that we have had post Baba Ramdev, and before that, of course, the Lokpal agitation, and again the entire civil society coming forward in the matters of legislation. And since you also mentioned about the media projection of these series of instances, they have a very strong impact on public sentiment. Somewhere down the line, media should also restrain, stick to the facts, rather than really dramatize the series of events.
I won't give any advice to the media. I think they are self-regulated, and that is how they should be, self-regulated. But as far as the people are concerned, let me say this. We are a fast-growing country. When the entire world was reeling under recession, we have grown along with China. In the last 2 years, under UPA 2, 2 years of UPA 2, the growth rates have been 8.0% and 8.6%. There's no large country which can boast of such growth rates. Jobs are being created, incomes are being generated, development works are being implemented. A number of social sector programs have been rolled out. Millions of people have benefited. We must not lose that big picture. Yes, there are problems. There are problems of corruption. There are problems of misbehavior and misconduct. They must be punished. But that's one part of governance, one part of social and political life in this country. Let's not miss the big picture while we talk about corruption. And on corruption, I think both the party to which I belong and the government to which I belong have made it absolutely clear that we will not tolerate corruption and we will take stern action against corruption. I think the people must keep faith in parliamentary democracy. When all countries around us, surrounding us, have failed to keep the flame of parliamentary democracy glowing, please remember, despite our shortcomings, despite our weaknesses, for 64 years, this country has kept the flame of parliamentary democracy glowing, and it's parliamentary democracy that will sustain this country and secure the people of this country. Let's do nothing, let's say nothing that will destroy parliamentary democracy.
And your word of patience for the public outbursts, since you're reiterating the basic ethics of parliamentary democracy, and the events that unfolded on Saturday night at Ram Leela grounds have been compared to Jallianwala Bagh massacre, unfortunately, that once again fueled a certain public sentiment. Anything on that?
That's a shameful comparison.
Yeah.
One lady has been critically injured, and I've already expressed my deep sense of sadness that she was injured. We are reaching out to the family. To compare this with Jallianwala Bagh betrays colossal ignorance or betrays a very perverse state of mind, be that as it may. Millions of people in this country are going about their work. Farmers, industrial workers, service providers, teachers in schools, doctors, nurses, railway engineers, loco men, are all going about their work. It is not because they're not concerned with corruption or don't discuss it over the dinner table at home. They go about their work because that is the right thing to do. They will speak and express their views when it is necessary to do so. But to convert everyday life into a day-long protests and demonstration, and then week-long and month-long agitations, I think undermines and destroys the very foundations of this country. I'm glad that millions of people continue to do their work and continue to keep their faith that these problems will be resolved through debate, discussion, and through the instruments in parliamentary democracy. If some people think there is another way to resolve these issues, well, I can only be sorry for them. There is no other way to resolve these issues except through debate, discussion, and finally keeping your faith in the institutions of parliamentary democracy.
Right. On that note, thank you very much, sir, for
Thank
talking
you.
to DD News.